In the space of one night, the world shifted. News came roaring over the wires. A strike, brash and swift, had fallen upon Iran. America and Israel together struck at the very heart of a regime long feared and hated by so many. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, dead. A man who ruled by fear, a tyrant grown used to power, suddenly gone. But let us not be fooled by the thrill of headlines, nor shaken by the storms of rumor. When a nation acts with such force, the ripples run far and deep, and not just in distant deserts. They come home. The question standing before us is clear. Can America win abroad and still keep her soul at home? Picture the White House at midnight, glowing in the dark, as tired men pore over reports from the other side of the world. Warplanes in the sky, ships rolling on black water, decisions made with breathless haste. Imagine young soldiers waiting by radios as fathers and mothers at home grip the morning paper, reading words that may change the future for all their children. I ask you plainly, has our victory in battle come at the cost of our victory in law? Is power alone enough, or does the law still bind us, even when the stakes are highest? That is no small question. It is the very heart of the republic you and I have sworn to keep. You see, the story does not end with a dictator's fall. In Iran, crowds are gathering in the smoky air of the streets. Some are shouting with grief, others with hope, all uncertain whose hand will rule them next. The Revolutionary Guard, grim and armed, look out over Tehran from rooftops and checkpoints. Hard men weigh their chances, and the assembly of experts, trembling perhaps, searches for a name, a new supreme ruler. But Iran is not alone in its unrest. Look to oil tankers crowded at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz, where ships now turn slowly and every hand knows the price of war. Watch as oil prices jump, and on distant farms in Iowa and Ohio, families wonder if bread will soon cost more, if the market will tumble. What about the law that guides our republic? Congress watched, in shock and anger, as one man reached for the sword of war alone. The people's voice, your voice, laid aside. This, too, is part of the cost. Here is a contradiction hard to ignore. We crush a tyrant abroad, yet risk the habits of monarchy at home. Will we stand for that? Or will we face it together as Americans always must? Head-on, fair and clear-eyed? Let me tell you, there have been times, both in my own life and in the rolling story of this nation, when bold action was demanded. I have never been one to shy from the strenuous path, nor to ask less of my countrymen than I demanded of myself. But America is more than one man's will. Our Constitution is not a trinket for show, nor a tool of ease when the seas grow rough. I see now the halls of Congress gleaming in the morning light, men and women pacing, their voices tense, some angry, others afraid. They debate, as they should, what law means, what war demands, who rules whom. Some say the president must act fast with no time for talk. Others say law must come first, or there is no end to war, nowhere to rest, no safe harbor for the republic. What is gained if we end one tyranny but risk another? To defeat the strongman in Tehran, are we to crown a strongman of our own? That, my friends, is a danger as sharp as any rifle or bomb. Do not forget, history is full of examples. Rome, hungry for glory, cast aside the old rules. They cheered their victories, yes, but found themselves in time under the rule of emperors, not law. Is this the path for America? Or do we still believe in law above men, in government by debate, not decree? The world watches us. Picture the bustling street in London or Paris, a crowd gathered around news tickers that flash with war and rumors. Some feel hope, others tremble, fearing the match that may set a region, and perhaps the world, aflame. Yet, in these uncertain hours, it is the American citizen who holds the secret to the future. Are we spectators in the grand parade of history, or do we carry a heavier load? Must citizens be spectators, or something more? Let me answer that with the lessons of our own land. I have seen the faces of miners at dawn, their hands rough, their hearts full. Mothers cooking breakfast, listening to the radio, praying for their sons. School children tracing the words, "We the people," on dusty chalkboards, still learning that law is not just for the high and mighty, but the small and plain. Imagine a little town hall in Kansas, rows of folding chairs, a handful of voters debating what is just, what is right, even as thunder rolls outside. It is in places like this that the Republic is kept alive, not on palace balconies, not in secret rooms, here in the honest airing of reason and duty. Too many now believe that citizenship is only complaint, that the work belongs to someone else, somewhere else. I am here to say, the strenuous life belongs to us all. If presidents can act alone today, then tomorrow, so may anyone with enough power. That, citizens, is not safety. It is the slow, quiet death of law. The Republic does not drift into ruin by great leaps. It slips by way of small, easy steps, each justified as necessary, each claimed as for our safety. One bold act after another, and the habits of debate wither. We wake one day to power unchained, and true self-government only a name. Here is where the work of citizens matters most. Will we rise to meet the challenge, or will we sink into apathy and leave our children a hollowed-out republic? Think of that Iowa farmer, staring across brown fields as news rattles over the radio. He is far from Tehran, and yet he stands right on the fault line of history. His everyday peace, his right to speak and be heard, hang on questions asked and answered thousands of miles away. That is why, when the great decisions come, each of us must ask, who decides for America, one or all? Do we chase victory by any means, or do we hold America to a higher rule? There are those who will tell you that law is weakness and brute force is strength. They will say, now is not the time for arguments. Trust the strong hand. But look where such talk has led other nations, to tyranny, to darkness, to regret so deep it haunts decades and generations. Let us not forget, the world is full of men who promise safety if only we will quiet our questions and trade our liberty for their command. I do not say that America must never strike. I do not claim that we can always wait, always talk while dangers mount. But the sword drawn in haste may, before long, point its blade at home as well as abroad. What protects us from that, if not the law? View, if you will, a family kitchen in New Jersey, the first pink light of morning creeping across a table cluttered with bills and homework. The mother's hand hovers over the phone, heart pounding, waiting for news. It is not only the fate of distant tyrants that weighs there, it is the fate of the American promise. Why do so many find it easy to trade law for action in the name of quick safety? I say we do so because fear persuades us to surrender hard-won rights. We do so because we trust strong men to keep us from harm, forgetting that even the strongest must someday answer to the smallest among us. It is here that we, as fellow citizens, face a moment of steady choice. Even the bravest nation must reckon with its own shadow, must ask not only, what can we do, but what ought we do? Right now, America stands at such a crossroad. You hear the drumbeats of security, strikes, speeches, promises of enduring power. Yet the true question presses closer. Will we be the Republic, or only the empire in disguise? Picture a court of law, old wooden benches and bright lamps, where a weary judge sorts fact from fancy. It is there, far from smoke and steel, that real power is weighed and real liberty preserved. If courts are silenced by the noise of guns, then where shall justice live? But let us not linger only on fear. This is the moment when Americans can remember who they are. From Maine to California, barn doors creak open, factory whistles blow, and men and women stand up straight, proud of their labor and their land. No single ruler can ever steal that pride, unless we first surrender it. There is a simple truth. The habits of a free people are not made in ease. They are forged in trouble, in the hard days, after the hardest news. Just as you do not teach a child courage by wrapping them always in safety, so you do not build a strong nation by running from argument and law. What if the worst fear comes to pass? Suppose chaos rises in Iran, alliances totter, and the world for a while seems wild and strange. then it is doubly vital that we turn not to panic, but to common duty. America's might is not in her missiles, but in her people, bound by shared law and hope. Imagine a public square in Texas where neighbors gather, young and old, swapping news and worries over cups of hot coffee. They speak plain truths, not always in harmony, yet never out of reach of reason. There, in the simple trade of ideas, our republic proves its worth. Can everyday talk among citizens truly stand against the machinery of state? Let me tell you, yes. Because when enough voices demand debate, it becomes impossible for government to rule by decree alone. That was the design of our founders, and it has weathered storms greater than this. It is tempting in moments of crisis to look for saviors rather than solutions. But nations made of free men and women do not wait for heroes to rescue them, and they do not allow fear to rob them of their birthright. Recall the scene. In 1861, as the Union trembled, President Lincoln bent not only to the winds of war, but to the laws of Congress and the courts. He led, but he did not rule alone, nor could he have saved the Republic by doing so. Now, turn to today. A young student reads the news on a glowing screen, sees the faces of power, wonders if her own small voice matters at all. I say to her, and to you, it does. Each voice counts in the tally that guards or surrenders liberty. America does not belong to those who shout their might the loudest. She belongs to those who dare to ask hard questions, who hold leaders to account even in the rush of headlines. We have gained much as a nation through courage, by storming the heights of Normandy, by breaking the trusts of men too greedy or proud for fairness, by lifting the fallen and protecting the weak. But every gain came with a cost and a choice. And always, the best choice was made in the daylight of argument and free consent, never by hidden command. So when you see crowds in Iran, grieving, angry, uncertain, remember that their fight may one day be ours, if we forget the lessons of law. Imagine the steps of the Capitol, rows of flags snapped by a strong wind, citizens of all colors and creeds gathered to demand their share of American self-rule. Here is the true fortress of the Republic, not the tank, not the missile silo, but the crowd that refuses to be silent or ruled from above. Let us honor those who serve, soldiers on foreign soil, officers keeping the watch. But let us also honor those who question, who debate, who hold fast to the higher standard. When power grows quiet and the public turns away, who watches the watchers? The answer, citizens, must be us. The price of liberty is not only vigilance abroad, but vigilance at home. Each man and woman, strong in character, steady in judgment. Never forget, not all news is black and white. What seems a victory at dawn may show its cost by night. Only those willing to ask why and how can guard what matters. I have seen in my own time and in yours men beg for security at any price. Yet I have also seen them reclaim that price, inch by inch, word by word, whenever courage and common sense burned brighter than fear. Picture a quiet cemetery in Arlington, rows upon rows of stones, each bearing the name of someone who answered duty's call. Their sacrifices did not make a king. Their gift was the chance for each of us to speak, to choose, to hold leaders, not just enemies, accountable. This is the strenuous life of our republic, not comfort, but character, not ease, but effort, not command, but consent. Today, as the world wonders what new day will dawn in Iran and at home, let us renew the choice to be citizens, not subjects. Let us show the world that America's strength is her unity and her stubborn, shining hope. The Republic can be saved if we are willing to save it. Our laws, our customs, our daily arguments, these are not obstacles, but the very tools that bind us together. In this age of quick news and quicker tempers, may we root ourselves deeper in reason, firmer in fairness, and bolder in duty. Before I leave you, I ask only this. When faced with danger, whether from abroad or from the slow creep of power at home, will you be the citizen who watches, questions, and stands up for law? Or will you leave that work to others and hope for mercy where justice is owed? History has seen this before. America's future, our children's peace, rests in the answer we choose now.